ears. Now you may take your ears to listen to the VC, okay?
Can you please stand forward, please? NMMU, this is how we're going to do this. I have the VC and I have Kanisa. Kanisa doesn't come from any political formation. It has been chosen to read out the memorandum. There are two sections, or three sections. High discipline. High discipline. High moral. High discipline. High moral. High discipline. Thank you, Comrade. So, Kanisa is going to read the first part, the rules of engagement. If you are a fighter or anything, the non-negotiable pillars. Therefore, I'm not promoting fighters, I'm not a fighter. Therefore, three things. After Kanisa has read these things of 3 or 4, we allow the visit to respond. Because we want the visit to respond immediately to those things. Before we proceed, reading out the rest of the commands in the memorandum. So, I'm going to give over to Kanisa. High discipline! High moral! High discipline! High moral! High moral! High discipline! Israel! Africa! Israel! Africa! Thank you. Let's listen to Prince.
Greetings once again, students. Management. Our internal terms of engagement before we go any further. Prof. The NMMU shutdown student movement hereby requests of the Vice Chancellor that it publicly declares that staff and students who choose to exercise their constitutional right by forming a part of the NMMU shutdown movement in solidarity with Fees Must Fall national campaign will not be subjected to any disciplinary action or victimization. This commitment needs to be adhered to both verbally in front of the masses and in writing with a statement from the VC's office. Do you agree?
Yes.
The VC also needs to commit that any form of academic assessments, whether it be tests, assignments, etc., be postponed to a later suitable date after the memorandum has been thoroughly engaged on and agreed to.
Nice.
High discipline! High discipline! High moral! High discipline! Thank you, comrades. Please, comrades. Comrades! Please, comrades.
Unity.
The Vice Chancellor must make a solid commitment to lay charges against the SAPS officials who incited violence by unleashing tear gas and rubber bullets on students on the morning of 21 October 2015 while they were peacefully protesting sitting down. And finally, the Vice Chancellor, but not least, the Vice Chancellor must mandate the NMMU Student Counseling Services to offer counseling to students for post-protest trauma.
Thank you. Thank you. NMMU, thank you. High discipline. Okay, let's listen to the VC. What do you have to say is the student of this state, their demands.
Moweni. Good afternoon, everyone. My students. When you guys sang, when I just walked in, you sang Zenzenina, Zenzenina. It took me back some 30 years ago. How much we have aged, at least I have aged, and my generation, in a sense, have now to reconnect with your generation. And there is a gulf that we have to breach. And as Mfundisi was saying earlier on, unless we are in conversation more and more, we will not be able to breach that gulf. And so I really just want to say to you, I feel comfortable in this space because this is my university, this is your university. Let me come to the terms of engagement. I also have terms of engagement for this conversation. And I also want to hear some things today because it's a two-way conversation. That's how it is. It doesn't mean that you will agree with everything that I say. That's the right of democracy.
Yeah.
I'm not asking you to agree with me. And there are times when you will disagree with me in principle on issues. That's good too. But hopefully when we keep on in conversation, you and I can convince each other to come closer to each other. And perhaps in the course of that, we change our positions in that and we learn from each other as well. So I just want to make it absolutely clear that the way I work is an honest. I will not make promises to you and tell you lies or claim easy victories. That's just not the way in which you will get it with me. Once I give my word, I will stick to my word through life and death. You can take that as given. So let me then respond to your You say, the Vice Chancellor publicly declares that all staff and students who choose to exercise their constitutional right by forming part of the NMMU shutdown movement in solidarity with Fees Must Fall national campaign will not be subjected to any DC action or victimization. This commitment needs to be adhered to both verbally and in writing. That's the essence of it, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, I will give you this undertaking. Unless from this meeting, any one of you break the law. If anyone, and I mean by the law as it is in our country's constitution, I will make sure that no charges are laid against anyone. I'm raising this, it's important for me. It is really important that you understand where I am with this thing. I do not believe that it's correct to blockade the passages of the university, to disrupt classes, to intimidate anyone, whatever cause you have. I do not believe in that. And my position will never ever change on that. That is the country's constitution, guys. Your rights to protest is absolutely enshrined in that constitution, and that therefore I'll protect you in that regard. And I'll come to that in a minute. But it's also important for you guys to protect the right of those who are not wanting to protest or want to get on with their lives. Both of those rights are in the Constitution. Show me in the Constitution where those two rights are not met as well. So it's important that the protesters respect the rule of democracy. I will therefore commit myself to making sure that no charges are laid against you up to today. Yes. But if someone lays it, let's say tomorrow, there's a fight between you and some member of the public, and this person lays the charge, the VC can't withdraw that charge. or another student, for example, that you obstruct wanting to get outside of the university, I cannot interfere. That's a legal proceeding in the courts of law. But insofar as the university's disciplinary process is concerned, I can give you that assurance that I will make sure that you are protected in the spirit, but with the understanding that you undertake, to uphold both those constitutional principles. Your right to be militant and to demonstrate and to articulate your views, and the right of others also not to do the same. Do I have an undertaking from you on both of those? Yes. Do I have an undertaking from both of you on that? Yes. I'm going to ask you to explain that, because I need that from all of you, because I'm giving my word to you. I'm not going to charge anyone on this. It's just fair. Agree? Yes. Secondly, the VC commits, you're asking me a second thing, any form of academic assessment, tests, assignments, because I know you guys are behind schedule, to be postponed to a later date after the memorandum has been thoroughly engaged on and agreed to. That's your demand, isn't it? Yes. I assume that's your demand that you want here. This is already, colleagues, this is already underway. Last night and this morning, yesterday, I instructed my colleagues, the Deputy Vice Chancellors and the Deans of Faculty, to work on a plan to adapt the entire academic schedule to allow you to catch up. But, I see you say quickly, yes. But this is an important provision. There are students that are, for example, international students who have visas expiring, and the 30th of November they have to go back to their countries. Their staying rights in the country will be relinquished, and they have flights back to Zambia, to wherever they come from as well. So we can't do it too long, but there's already a realignment taking place, and the deans have said that they will be meeting with the individual faculty members in the next couple of days, and with your SRC and student academic representatives, to make sure that we can agree on terms that will allow you to do. There are a whole range of other support mechanisms that we put in place to make sure that you can catch up and you don't lose on your academic time. So I am in absolute support of this particular demand, right? Okay. But please take into account that there are also students who have no control over where they have to go after the exams are over, because their flights have been booked, and that's the difficulty that we will obviously have to assist them should they run into difficulties, for example, having to fly back home. So that one for me is not a problem. The third one, the VC must make a bold, solid commitment to lay charges against the SAPS officials who, you say, incited violence. That's what you say. By unleashing tear gas and rubber bullets on students on the morning of 21 October 2015. I see Daryl Newton is here, our legal officer. He's probably hoping I'm not going to say something that is totally illegal. We will, let me be quite careful how I say this, Daryl, because I can't do something that's not in my power. We will investigate measures. If you want to hear my view, then you must give me the right to speak. Because I gave you right to speak here. Listen very carefully. I didn't say any word. I'm going to be looking with my legal team to look at what steps can we take against those officers or the SAPS where it can be shown that they've acted, and I believe that they acted completely unnecessary, shooting tear gas. I know that some of you guys ran into the street, but they could have found another way to be able to persuade you to come back onto campus. There was no need for rubber bullets if there was rubber bullets and tear gas. And I will let our legal as well as also our medical services to be supporting this and work with the student leadership on this issue. So I can only give you an undertaking that I will be talking to our legal department to look at what measures we can take against excessive police violence. I condemn the police violence, and I absolutely don't accept the fact that there should be bullets on our campuses unless a life is being threatened on our campus. Something is done that, the police, they told us, I wasn't here at the time, but they told us, Mr. Vice Chancellor, through my colleagues, your jurisdiction ends there by that traffic circle. That's where your jurisdiction. Beyond that, you can't tell us what to do on this side. And there is a national joint command center that was set up. It was a national government decision on all the campuses, and I think the Vice Chancellors need to stay to government to make sure that the police do not get onto our campuses unless there's a very serious threat to a human life or otherwise as well. So that's as far as I can give you a commitment on that one. The fourth one, the BC must mandate student counseling to offer services to students for post-protest trauma. I absolutely will make sure that that is done, and we will provide for any funding for that without qualification. Absolutely.